Hey everybody, Matt Williamson here, back on Pop Goes the 60s. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a different video. I've had some requests to show my collection, and people have requested this off and on for quite a long time, and I've always kind of put it off because I didn't quite know how to do it, and didn't know if I could make it interesting enough. But what I thought I'd do is I'd try a little bit of showing my collection of my old 45s, and these are the ones that I grew up with. Now, I'm sure you all grew up with a stack of records that grew very close to your heart. They may seem a little corny now, but at the time they were the best thing out there. And I've got a couple stacks here that I want to share with you. And the other thing, I'll probably be doing all the stuff back here people ask me about, and I think I may do some little tour of some of my stuff back here, the albums. And I also get asked about how I made these. These are these album cases I designed and had made by a buddy of mine, and we'll be talking about that too because people ask me about it. But let's start with something simple. We're going to start with some 45s. And I started listening to records at the age of 2. And I just had a fascination with records, and particularly, I mean, I only listened to 45s, singles, and they were small if I could handle them. And by the time I was 3, I was handling the hi-fi pretty well. And this stack of records are the first set of records that I remember listening to. And these are the actual ones that I had as a little kid. So let's go through a couple of these here. The first one here, this is my dad's. It's an Elvis Presley record. It's called, it's actually Are You Lonesome Tonight? I didn't listen to that side. I listened to the B-side called I Gotta Know. And if you could see these, I mean, the camera doesn't do it justice how beat up all these 45s are. So that's that one. Have another one here on the RCA Victor. This is Neil Sedaka. Oh Carol was the hit, but I listened to the B-side, One Way Ticket. I don't know why, but that's what I listened to. Okay, we get into some adult contemporary here. Easy Listening with Ed Ames. It was My Cup Runneth Over. That's it. And this was not the original one. I think we broke it. My dad got me another one, but he must have been. I think he was an Ed Ames fan. Okay, these tracks here, these are for my mother. She had a couple of Roy Orbison albums. But the 45 she had were these. We had Love Hurts, which was actually, the B-side of Runnin' Scared. I didn't listen to Running Scared as much as I listened to Love Hurts. Love Hurts, I think, was originally done by the Everlys and then done in the 70s by Nazareth, a much inferior version. Then we got Only the Lonely Boys, this one beat up. And you can see the big chip out of the record here. I used to take these to school. And Mrs. Donald would sometimes let me play my records during art class. And I was running around with a handful of records on the playground, and they all chipped. This is one of them. Only the Lonely by Roy Orbison. Now, the next one was one of my favorites. And this is Oh Pretty Woman. Now, I played this so much, I broke it. And so my dad, in the early 70s, went and got me another one. And this is the one he brought home with him. And I said, Dad, that's not the record. He said, yes, this is the record. It had a different label. And I couldn't read. So, so the original label was a label I just loved. I was so disappointed that that label wasn't on this record. So many years later, about maybe 5 years ago, I'm standing in line at Half Price Books. And what do I see? Oh Pretty Woman on that original green Monument label. Now that's the label I love. So I paid $2 for it. So I finally got it back. So yeah, so there's a reason I suppose I became a designer. And at an early age I was noticing these kind of things. So these next two records, Glen Campbell, Wichita Lineman. This was probably the most contemporary record that I had. And I think my cousin may have given me this one. I don't remember. But I had this one, and this one here, if you remember the song Where's the Playground Susie, but I listened to the B-side. It was called Arkansas, Land of Opportunity, Arkansas. Prettiest thing you ever saw. Yeah, so I was listening to B-sides quite a bit, and these were the first batch of records that I ever listened to. So I was only 3 when I was listening to these. And by the time I turned 6, I had acquired more records, and I moved. So I grew up in a place, I lived next door to a kid who was my age. His name was Dan, and he had 7 older brothers and sisters, so they had tons of records. So I was like a kid in a candy store. This is another Four Seasons record that I don't know if my mom had it. This is Dawn Go Away, and this is one that I loved. So this is one I played quite a lot. What have we got here? The Royal Guardsmen, So Right to Be in Love, and Baby Let's Wait on the backside. So this, I like both of these sides. And sometimes I would put a piece of tape on one side or draw, so I knew which side was which because it was before I could read. So that's why there's some markings on there. Here's one, I don't know where this came from. This is Bang Shang-a-Lang by the Archies. And you can see how faded this label is. And it's got a big chunk out of it here. And I loved Bang Shang-a-Lang. So much so, and I noticed what this label was because I was at a flea market as a little kid and I wanted this record because it looked like Bang Shang-a-Lang. And it actually was Sugar Sugar. So I struck gold with the calendar label here. This is one I remember playing a lot, Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down. This is Cher. So that one. And all these were hand-me-down records. With some rare exceptions of my dad buying me one that I broke. These were hand-me-downs. People would give them to me, or I don't know where they would come from. Here we go, Classics 4, Spooky. Classic. And now here's one that you wouldn't think would be in the collection. I don't know how I got this one, but this is White Room by Cream. But I would listen to the B-side more, which was Those Were the Days. Here's in Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. You're Still My Favorite Girlfriend, Alice Long. Now this is so beat up. It's just, most of these have cracks in them, you know. Okay, we're getting a little more contemporary here. This is the Guess Who, Follow Your Daughter Home. But I never listened to that side. I listened to the B-side, Bye Bye Babe, which I thought was just a great rockin' song. Now this is a white label promo, so this was not, you couldn't buy this in the store. I don't know how I got my hands on this one. But sometimes I think I would go to Goodwill and just picked out stuff that I liked the labels. That's how I picked out records in those days. Sometimes I get lucky. The Grassroots, Temptation Eyes. My dad even liked that song. Okay, The Association. This I also got at the flea market at the same time I got that Archies single, Everything That Touches You, The Association. And actually, I could read by that time because the B-side, We Love Us, I thought this was a song that they sang on Gilligan's Island. I don't know if you remember that episode where Ginger, Mary Ann, and Mrs. Howell sing. I forget the name of that song. But that wasn't this. How disappointed was I? But luckily I had Everything That Touches You on the other side, so that made up for it. Okay, these next couple songs here, these are Beatles. This was my introduction to the Beatles, which was by Dan and his sisters and brother. So this is Hey Jude and Revolution. This is the actual single, and I borrowed these from Dan, and he unfortunately never got them back. He's not watching, so not a big deal. So Revolution was the side we listened to more than Hey Jude, hands down. And I always thought it was interesting how the apple was cut in half and you had two different labels on each side. I had never seen that before, and you rarely see it actually now. So the other one was Something and Come Together, but we listened to Come Together more. So those were the first two. I like these Apple. I like this music on these Apple labels. What I didn't realize was that this one was by the same band, but it wasn't on an Apple label. This is VJ. This is Do You Want to Know a Secret? And Thank You Girl. So we listened to this as much as these two. And even after all this time, I still love these songs a lot. So Dan had those songs. So by this time, I could, as I learned to read and can buy some used records at the Goodwill or whatever, I picked up Get Back and Don't Let Me Down. And the other one I picked up was Yellow Submarine and Eleanor Rigby, but I couldn't find that one. I don't know what happened to it. So here are some other songs that are replacements that I had gotten later because I liked them. This is The Flying Machines, My Little Smile for Me, on the Congress label. And the B-side, which was not on the album, I don't believe, it's called Maybe We've Been Loving Too Long. It's a great pop song. Really great late 60s pop. This one, okay, the Beach Boys, Barbara Ann. So this is another one. I don't remember how I got my hands on the used one, but after a while, I started playing that B-side, which is Girl Don't Tell Me. And I really love the B-side as much as I love the A-side. So in first grade, I gave this single to Ingrid Marks because I kind of had a thing for Ingrid. And so yeah, Girl Don't Tell Me, you know, she never wrote. She moved away not long after that, and I never saw her again. She still has my record. The Hollies. Okay, so this is one, this is a replacement. I bought this when I was a teenager. This is Jennifer Eccles, which at the time was not on an album. And Dan had this one. And we played this so much, and it was so beat up. The backside, we had masking tape on it because it was cracked in a couple places. So I never heard the B-side till I was a teenager, which was a great psychedelic gem called Try It. So that's a good one. The other, I couldn't find my other Holly singles. I had Can't Let Go and Look Through Any Window, two classic ones during the same period. Now here's one that took me years to find. This is a pricey one. This is Lou Courtney. I did a video about Lou Courtney, the best soul singer you've never heard of. This song is called Hey Joyce, but the original record that Dan had and his family had was a white label promo. And we used to take records we didn't like, and we would take them and we'd throw them, and they would just disappear because they were so thin, and we didn't really think we could take somebody's head off with them. But Dan threw Hey Joyce, and it was a mistake. He didn't like it as much as I did, but I was upset that he threw that one. But once it was gone, it was gone. I found this like 30 years later. So anyway, I got some more records here, but you must be wondering what this contraption is. Well, this is the record player I got. I think it was 1972. It might have been 73. But these lights, when they heat up, these bulbs, they start to blink. So it's kind of a little, my little dance light thing here. But this was my first record player that I had on my own. And when I had my birthday parties outside in the summer, I could take this outside and get the Brown extension cord and put it through the window and play my records outside for my birthday party, which was great fun. That was living. Okay, here's my first picture sleeve. This is also bought at Goodwill, and the price is still on here in pencil, 10 cents. And I've taped this up because over the years it got ripped up, but Last Train to Clarksville and Take a Giant Step. So both sides of the single got equal airplay or equal play for me. So this was my introduction to the Monkees. Starting to blink there. They're warming up. All right. So what else have we got here? Oh, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Just Like Me. This is one of those I knew of the band, and a song I really liked, a good hard rockin' song. So I was lucky on that one. Mamas and Papas, Monday, Monday. Got a feeling. That was from Dan. Here's another one by the Association. This is Birthday and the Time It Is Today. So Dan had, he had Windy. Yeah, he had Windy, that single. So that was one we listened to a lot. Here we got Summer Song by Chad and Jeremy. Oh, here's a good one. Herman's Hermits. Now, the A side is A Must to Avoid. Not a bad song, but the B side was a song I love, The Man with the Cigar. Try that one out sometime. Classic. Actually, that song was written by Lou Courtney, I think. Is that right? No, he did not write that song. He covered that song. I'm getting old. Here's a beat up one. This is also from Dan, I think. This is My Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers. Another classic, get you up and dancing. Oh, here's Windy. This is not the original one of Dan's because it had a piece of tape on it or something. So this is Windy. And then I picked up Never My Love. So, and notated by the X on one side, so I knew what side to play. Tommy Rowe, Jam Up, Jelly Tight. Yeah. Somebody, I think Dan had Dizzy as well. And what have we got here? Oh, this is Paul Revere and the Raiders, Indian Reservation. The Lament of the Cherokee Reservation Indian. I always liked that song. Very good song. So let's for kicks here, see how bad this sounds. Cover up your ears, folks. Terrible. Yep. I don't think I'll get a copyright strike. This sounds so terrible. We'll see. Anyway, that's my quick look at my 45 collection. More coming. I've got more coming. Looking at the rest of my collection very soon here. So stay tuned to Pop Goes the 60s.
baby.